It's a very, very basic. It's the very basics of jewellery making. Essentially, like when you begin to make jewellery, it's the first thing you really do is using a piercing saw, and so yeah, it's a very people would have used saws from the very beginning, and people use saws for everything, not just jewellery making. But the saw I use, it's got a very fine blade, which means I can get really good detail in the silhouettes and the pieces that I'm making. So no, it's a very, very basic tool. Yeah, it definitely is. The part of the like sawing out the silhouettes is referencing Victorian silhouettes where people used to have their family portraits or cameos, you know, with the in profile. So there's a kind of Victorian style of creating a portrait. So yeah, so I mean, historically, it is really important for me to, and especially as well because without the monuments, like the original monuments in Glasgow and Edinburgh, I wouldn't have had this body of jewellery. So yeah, it is important for me, and I'm quite nostalgic as a person. I like old things. I like buying old furniture and buying old clothes, and I love raking around in the junk shop. So yeah, old things are definitely important to me. In terms of design, I'm really inspired by Dutch design and Scandinavian design. I spent a bit of time in Denmark, and they just have a nice kind of simple, clean design ethic, which is quite appealing to me as a designer. Well, I suppose in terms of the monument work, I did a bit of travelling around Europe last year as well, and visited lots of kind of big capital cities which have got kind of well-known monuments, but also I like graveyards as well, and I like looking at kind of old-looking gravestones and things that have been kind of knocked over, and you know, when you look at a gravestone and it's all been kind of rubbed away. So as well as spend time in big cities, it was interesting for me to kind of go to these little rural towns around Europe and look at the kind of town steeples and their graveyards and things. So yeah, I think I'm constantly kind of immersing myself in like, you know, architecture and old things. I think right now my sister is actually a fashion designer, and she makes me dresses like every year. And last year she made me a dress which kind of surpassed everything that she'd ever made before. So I'd have to say that's my favourite piece of craft. It's something that I own and cherish, and I know it's fashion, and some people don't kind of associate fashion with craft, but it's beautifully designed and well crafted. So. Based on some work that I made when I was studying at Glasgow School of Art. I was looking at forgotten things, and I was taking photos in junk shops and looking at old shop signs, and then the third part of my degreetional work was monuments. So I began thinking about looking at monuments and started thinking about, you know, these people were placed up high on these plinths to be remembered forever, and people generally don't know who they are. There's a lot of them in Glasgow, a lot of them in Edinburgh, so I spent a few days going around photographing them all, and that's where the start of my monument work. So the collection I'm showing is for Meet Your Maker is my monument work, and then I also have a kind of changing display where I'm getting people to pose for me on a plinth. I take a picture of them, print it out, stick it down onto brass, and I use my piercing saw and I saw it into silhouette. So on the wall I've got a changing display of silhouette pins. Well, right now I'm really at the beginning of my career, and it's quite an exciting time. So right now I'm just trying to really make a name for myself in the kind of craft jewellery design scene in Scotland. I've just got a few exhibitions coming up. I work in a place in Glasgow called Brazen Studios, and I do a bit of teaching there. I'm doing a bit of teaching in other places, teaching night classes and things. So yeah, a little bit of teaching, lots of making jewellery, lots of exhibitions, and that's the plan for the future.